Welcome to the Didi LItal Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and LItal.
Hello and welcome to the Didi and LItal Show. It is the holiday season. 2022 is about to end and we are here to celebrate it. Or not celebrate it. Hi Didi, how's it going?
Always celebrate. You can see even with the sweater.
Ugly sweater.
Always celebrate. I need to get a Hanukkah one. This is the best one I got. Maybe I should get one of the holiday Bruins ones with the colors and the menorahs and all the stuff. But
There's
yes,
something to get for next year.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But,
we can improve.
But if you're doing a show for in the year, holidays, if you don't wear an ugly sweater, you're not in character. You are in character because you are wearing a red shirt.
Yeah.
Do you know what it means for nerds to wear a red shirt?
You tell me.
So, in a Star Trek episode, there's always a guy with a red shirt. There's the captain that they beam down to the planet. All the job he has to do is say, "Captain, I found something," and die. So that what's a red shirt means.
So I'm going to die by the end of the episode.
Yeah, there's even
I
a movie
found
called-
something.
Yeah, maybe John dies at the end. So
Will
that-
keep me alive for now. So it's been a year.
it's been a
It's
year.
been a year. We have a lot to talk about. I don't want to bore people with too many of the summaries and predictions, but I think we have a few topics that we think should be talked about, like things that we've seen and things that we think will happen next year. So let's start. I think you had one topic that you wanted to bring about crime in general and what's the state of it. I think everybody's worried about it. You know, depends on your political stance in the U.S. Like, what do you feel about crime? Is it growing? Is it not? But I think you have an opinion of how it is related to cyber.
Yes.
So let's
yes.
bring it up.
So I think the year as a whole was outlined by lawlessness. FTX for me is lawlessness. Elizabeth Holmes is lawlessness. People say that people stretch the rules, they stretch the line, they stretch the something. This is lawlessness. And we say, yeah, they killed nobody. This is breaking the law. If you steal money for somebody, you're supposed to go to jail.
$8 billion.
It doesn't matter. If you steal $1,000, you should go to jail. There are laws here for a reason. You know, the Torah says, in one of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not steal. I'm not a religious man, but if the Bible says that, it's probably kind of supposed to be important. So, stealing, whether it's an FTX scam, whether it's the people going into Walmarts with a gun and saying, you know what, I don't need the cash register. I have a gun. I can go into a Walmart and pull stuff out, is a problem. Because very much like Giuliani, and I'm not a big fan of Giuliani in his late days, but if you start to allow crime to happen,
It propagates.
It propagates. And gets worse and worse and worse. And this is my kind of I'm a very conservative person. I'm very much for small government. The only thing a government needs to actually do is to protect me from lawlessness. In the Jewish Gemara thing, the book of rules, they basically say, if an armed robber meets an armed security guard guard's supposed to say, dude, good luck. You get the stuff. Because you're not expecting somebody whose job it is to deal with this. This is why there's police. Even in the Bible days, it was police. And this is the police's job. And this is the government's job. The only reason I pay taxes is for roads and for, education, roads, and safety. I'm not and this is related to the topics we had before and a lot of times in our conversations, like the RSA breach. I was expecting the government to protect my business. I'm not expecting myself to defend my house against somebody coming in with a tank, a gun, a battering ram. I'm expecting the government to protect me. And that's kind of my kind of theme of lawlessness. it's kind of a little bit of a lax approach, and this is a bipartisan thing. It's not a specific party thing. It's everybody's been kind of saying, you know what, let's not take care of this. It was Trump, it was Biden, it was everybody. They're not dealing with that.
So nobody's dealing with ransomware, stealing money from every hospital, every school district,
Exactly.
every business here. And you, as a business owner, supposed to buy technology, hire people, and get to deal with this.
Exactly.
While this is organized gangs of ransomware, it's organized crime, that it's a cartel, basically, the same that you would expect the government to deal with drug cartels, and it's
Yep.
a national problem. We would expect to have stronger national protection against
Yes.
cyber threats. That's what you said.
Yes,
Right.
and the method that they're doing now is saying, oh, you have to have regulation. I think Sam was talking about this in one of our either future or past podcasts. You'll see it as it comes out. Bringing in more regulation to say, oh, if you want to operate as a business, you have to do all these things. That's not actually protecting me.
It's red taping.
It's red taping.
It's-
It's like saying,
Right.
if you live in Dorchester, you need to have a gun. That makes no sense.
So, do we think this will become any better next year? Like we've seen this erosion, I think, and yes,
Yes.
cybercrime is on the rise, and it's more organized. I think we've seen pipeline at the beginning of the year. We've seen like big manufacturing of food. It's critical infrastructure when things like that get attacked. So do we think anything will get better? Will it get worse? Is it just the same?
I'm an old man. Nothing gets better over time. Things only get worse. So to be completely honest and look at the numbers, we are living right now in probably the safest time humans ever lived.
Physical safety, absolutely.
Physical
yes.
safety. Not your catalyst converters in your cars in Newton not included.
There were in the news locally that people steal now.
The catalytic converters from
Catalytic. How do you say it?
catalytic converters.
Yes,
So,
especially if you have a Prius, apparently.
exactly. So what it means that I need to sell my Audi and get a Mustang, because especially the old ones, because they just burn gas and have nothing catalytic in them. So, but I think cybercrime will continue to rise until there'll be a legitimate intervention from government bodies, because as long as you're not protecting the population and people can make money, and we all assume that the recession will get worse, then if you have no money and you go online and you buy a kit for $1,000, you can steal people's money. Why wouldn't you?
Do you think, or is there a good model that for a government that protects its people from cyber threats? Like, I wonder how much a government could do.
So there are two governments that do a really good job at it. One you would expect, and the other one you wouldn't. So the German government does a very, very, very good job at doing a lot of this enforcement. Some of it is easy the way they do this because they're, in terms of kind of computer savviness or computer openness, they're a little bit in the dark ages. So they're the biggest on-prem kind of country in the world probably, so it's easier to do some of this stuff. But Israel does a really, really good job as well. And there's a kind of a cybersecurity czar whose job is to deal with some of this stuff. Some of it comes with company regulations, and
There's like national institution for cybersecurity
Exactly.
that oversees it and,
and there's
takes
a lot
care of it.
and there's a lot of education. Kids coming out of high school are aware of this. Some of this is because they want to get jobs in cyber and serve.
They want to get into the military, specific cybersecurity units, yes.
But there's a lot of education, and that immediately raises the bar, because it means that even the HR lady that works in a company of 10 employees and have computers with an accounting thing, she's thinking about this because somebody told her this. Her kid, her husband, her somebody So it's education and awareness. There's laws in place. There's enforcement in place, because if you will get caught, you'll get punished. One of the few things you do get punished over there for, because you don't get punished for tax evasion. But that's a whole different topic altogether. But these two countries kind of do a good job at this, and we should take and look and learn a little bit.
The Didi and LItal show will return in a moment. The Didi and LItal show is sponsored by ORT. In today's world, identities are the perimeter protecting the organization and are the most exploited vector by attackers. If your security teams are struggling to maintain control of identity management tools, ORT can help. ORT offers a centralized platform for discovering, monitoring, assessing, and remediating identity threats to your business. While most security platforms can take weeks or months to start identifying and remediating risks, with ORT, your security teams can get started in as little as 30 minutes and start securing the identity perimeter immediately. ORT will surface the most critical vulnerabilities and give your security teams the recommended action steps. Start your trial today at ORT.io. That's OORT.io. The Didi and LItal show is sponsored by Hunters. Hunters is a SaaS platform purpose-built for your security operation team. Cimpress, the parent company of Vistaprint, implemented Hunters' SOC platform to replace its SIM. Thanks to Hunters, Cimpress no longer needs to babysit alerts and detection logic. They've improved their SOC's efficiency and optimized costs. Visit hunters.ai to learn more.
Related topics that I want to bring, and I kind of like was thinking about it, and I don't know what the answer is. We've seen cryptocurrency, collapse in the last few months, and we all know that cryptocurrency is probably the biggest engine that helped cyber criminals grew to where it is. Like ransomware and cryptocurrency kind of grew together, if you think about it, since the 2010s when crypto was in its infancy. Do we think that the crash of cryptocurrency and maybe mainstream people playing less with crypto will make it less of a thing for criminals, more of a thing? I mean, I kind of like started thinking about it. How will it impact cybercrime? Will it? It's going to be interesting, right?
I think so. I think the main fall of the exchanges is the thing that is going to make monetization of cryptocurrency harder. So pause for a sec for everybody that's listening and doesn't know what we're talking about. Cryptocurrency is something that, by the way, there's also YouTube videos that explain how cryptocurrency works. So don't necessarily listen to me, but it's running a whole bunch of math stuff on your machine, getting back an object that is hard to reproduce and hard to recreate. And the value of it is derived from how hard it is to make it. And the second thing, because computer cycles and all that stuff cost power, and gear and other stuff. So it's important. It's hard to make, and then it's hard to share in a way that's not trustworthy. But all that stuff is very theoretical. It's like, consider the tulips in Holland. So a tulip is awesome. It's hard to grow. It's hard to keep, and it used to be very valuable. But you needed somebody that would turn it into a real currency, and those were the exchanges. FTX, for example, was an exchange, something that takes the fake money and make it into real money that you can go and buy in the store. Now, there's two things that might happen. Some of the Eastern Bloc countries are looking, and some of the South American countries are looking to make cryptocurrency as currency. And if
there is one country, maybe Ecuador, if I remember, we'll check it, that's already made it into, and actually it killed the economy.
Yeah, but once I think Estonia is looking into doing this, and a few others are looking into doing this. If there's a real world monetization part of crypto and the exchanges don't matter, then it doesn't matter.
And it would be good for the criminals because the value will keep on going, easy to monetize it, maybe more regulated, or maybe less good for them. It will be interesting. Yeah.
It's cryptocurrency in the next year is going to be a very interesting topic. I regret not minting stuff in 2012. On the other hand, I'm very happy for not buying it in 2019.
When the hype
was at the top. So all in all, we're kind of in a good place.
Yeah. So it will be interesting. I think that's a big thing that drives criminals in our space. I think the dynamics around it will be really, really interesting. And maybe they'll look for other ways to monetize the work. I think the fact that there are wars everywhere, I mean, there are coups, wars, a lot of things. I don't know how much of it is impacting cyberspace. I think there were a lot of expectations of seeing a lot of cyber warfare coming in the Ukraine-Russia. We haven't heard a ton about that. I think there is an element. It's still kind of like a warfare on the ground, right? I think there were expectations that it will be more of a cyber war. So that's another topic that I find interesting. I'm not an expert, and maybe we bring somebody that is an expert to discuss it because really, really interested. I mean, Russia is probably one of the biggest nation states in cyber crime
and cyber warfare.
Yes, and they have been using it aggressively. And, they can probably take the electrical grid using cyber in Ukraine, and they're choosing to bomb it instead, which is interesting.
Well, they learned something from the Hicks in North Carolina, because they could have hacked the grid there, but they decided to shoot it. I don't know if you know this, but people have shot up the grid in North Carolina, and there was a blackout in a big chunk of the state. So clearly they're learning something from the Hicks.
I guess it's less resilient. Maybe they know that the Ukraine can resist a cyber attack, but bombing electrical power station is a tough one to resist.
Also, sometimes it's a statement. It's like the Israelis' discussion of bombing the nuclear facilities in Iran versus the Stuxnet thing. Doing Stuxnet makes more sense.
It's quiet.
Quiet makes a lot more sense. But bombing is a statement saying, hey, you can't do this. So it could be an aspect. Exactly. You don't know, maybe the
psychological impact.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Interesting.
Same is with this discussion of the tactical nuclear weapon. Even raising the topic in that war became a big thing this year. And probably will be a big thing because all of us kind of forgot that this was the year of remembering a whole bunch of stuff that we kind of forgot. First, we forgot the 90s. And I'm very happy that we forgot the dress code of the 90s. I'm very, very happy.
Music was great.
Music was less as good
and
as
the clothing
80s.
Is back. My kids are wearing 90s clothes.
Yes.
If you didn't see what Leah is wearing, it's everything I wore in the 90s.
Yeah, the midriff shirts paired with belly button piercing looked nice at the beginning, and then you saw a whole bunch of...
Depends on your age.
It was never a good look. It was never a good look. So, 90s are back. Those of us that preferred 80s music are still in pain because the 90s was less good. If you want, we can argue about the topic. Backstreet Boys are back, unfortunately. So, yes. We're getting a flood of the 90s, and part of the things that we're getting like a flood from the 90s is the return of the nuclear weapon discussion. Because none of us have thought, there are kids that have never grown up in a world that nuclear attack was a threat. Now it's back, like the Backstreet Boys. So that's something that we need to consider.
The Soviets are back. Yeah.
The Soviet threat is back. I completely forgot about the Soviets. There are people I know that Dennis always jokes that he was born in the Soviet Union, a country that doesn't exist. I told him it's coming back.
We'll bring Dennis to one of our next episodes.
We will bring
absolutely.
Dennis.
Okay, I want to talk about the economy, and we don't want to be the ones to predict because we have no clue. We don't have a ball, and we cannot kind of tell the future. It was a rough year.
It was a rough
year. Inflation is rough. What do you think? What's the impact on the tech industry, cyber, startups? We're in startups. Mm-hmm. What do we see? What do we think? We've been through rough times already. So you can see we've been through the 2008, the 2000. You know, a lot of the people we work with in startups, like this is the first time that they are going through a recession. We know the economy has its ups and downs. It happens. So maybe we give some kind of like wisdom.
So I'll tie this into our kids because everything is eventually tied to our kids. Like our kids are struggling right now with going back to real school because our kids are hitting high school after spending middle school in the COVID years with no restrictions, no rules, no nothing.
No school.
Not learning Zoom. How to write a structured sentence or a paragraph. And now they need to come back to school. You'll see that there are people like Ron that just
get it, change,
and snap and adjust, and others that don't. And I think what we're seeing with the economy is that it's the people that thrive in the going back and the people that struggle with the going back. And I think this will create this dissonance of something's really failing and something's really succeeding. My marker is the fact that I was interviewing developers over the last couple weeks. I'm continuously trying to hire. If anybody hears this and they're a good UI developer, always call me. So when we're looking at the hiring space, good people find a job in less than a week. I was talking to a developer and I wanted to give him homework and he said, no, I'm not doing homework. I have 3 offers. So even that there's firing, there's a lot of hiring still. It could be the runway that some startups have. It could be other things. On the other hand, prices are going up. There's reactionary things. So it's going to be an interesting economy, and there's basically the 2 wolves. And the one that we will feed more will win. Because there's a lot of attempt to grow, and also there's a lot of attempt to fail. So that's my prediction.
I want to talk with the people out there that have teams in security. Really want to know, like, what are your plans for next year? Like, are you slowing down on hiring? Are you slowing down on replacing tech, getting new tech? I think that people are rethinking and putting pause. And I actually think it's a good thing. I mean, we had this kind of momentum of thinking we live in this world of abundance. Money's there. You can always go get more of it. If somebody asks for a higher salary, they'll get it. You can just go across the street to another shop and get something better. I actually think that it drives creativity down. It makes us less of focused people. I can tell you that I'm talking with my team doing marketing and tell them, you know, we should be now focused and choose better. And when you choose better, you're doing better things. You do less, but whatever you choose to do, you're actually going to focus more. So I'm curious how this will impact people, plans. Shoot us a note about how you're planning and what are you focusing on. And I'm really happy that it made my team decide about things that we will not do, for sure. It was I saw the relief on people's face when we said, okay, this is a thing we're cutting for next year. We're not going to do it because it's not right for us. We don't want to spend anymore. I like it. I actually like it. So it's a good learning experience. And I like being frugal. Sometimes it's fun. Like, let's do things a little bit more sketchy.
I'm all for frugal. Don't cut identity. Don't cut identity.
He has to put the product placement, otherwise it will not work.
The product placement, it's on the desk.
Excellent.
So, yes.
Well, do we wish anything other than keeping identities clear to our listeners?
So I think it is I like the idea of your frugalness, but I think what they need to do is go down on their list and see what are the things that will get me fired this year and make sure that they solve for those. Don't look at the plans like you've defined them before and all the projects that you wanted. Take a look, stack rank, aggressively stack rank. Understand how you're dealing with insider threats, because in a challenging economy, insider threat becomes
an even more problem. It's an opportunity for people, and people are more angrier. Yeah.
Exactly. Deal with insider threat. Deal with how you deal with people wanting to go after your money.
Yeah, fraud will grow.
Exactly. So
in a tough economy.
Make sure that you have plans for all that stuff. These are my takeaway for this year.
So focus on things that matter. Focus on
problems that you
limiting
can
the
solve,
risk.
and problems you can solve, not problems that are hypothetical that you want to launch a project for. Deal with partners that can help you solve real problems. That would be my recommendation.
So look for impact.
Look for impact.
Look for impact. Let's make it a year of an impact.
Awesome.
Focusing on impact.
Let's finish this with a holiday theme. What is your favorite holiday food? And back and forth on this.
Well, we're Jewish. We celebrate Hanukkah and not Christmas. And I think in our home, latkes are definitely the favorite.
Yes.
I promise to make latkes this year.
Yes, and we need to
get your producer Dave is a member of your tribe as well, and I think the listeners need to know how do you eat your latkes? What's the best way to eat a latke?
We're not for the sweet ones. We like them savory. So it's potato latkes with onions, deep fried, kind of traditional.
Applesauce with
no
that?
Applesauce.
Just
No
plain.
applesauce. Plain.
Wow.
Plain.
Old school.
We're hardcore.
Actually, I eat LItal's savory latkes, usually with meat, something like a prosciutto.
Oh, nice. Interesting.
That's the non-traditional Jewish, yes, with a prosciutto.
It's a kosher pig. We circumcised it.
I was brought up on latkes with sour cream and sugar.
Oh, nice.
And so that's the way I do it. It's not healthy, but the latkes are.
Nothing around Hanukkah is healthy.
No, it's not.
By definition.
Right.
It's all deep fried. But we also like sufganiyot, the donuts, the deep fried donuts.
Yes.
I'll get them. I'm not making myself.
Yes.
We're going to buy.
By the way, there's a cheat code for making the donuts. You buy the sweet rolled dough from Costco, and you deep fry that and inject it with jam. It's awesome.
Dinner rolls, frozen dinner rolls. I can email you. If anyone is interested, ping me. I'll give you the cheat.
And the downside of this is after LItal makes the stuff, it looks like somebody threw a grenade in the kitchen, and somebody with an ugly sweater needs to clean it up. Just saying.
That's why we're married.
Just saying.
Everyone has his own job.
Awesome. I think with this optimistic line, we can roll.
Excellent. So we wish you Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you're celebrating. Have a wonderful year. We hope 2023 will be secure, happy, with impact. Let's focus. Thank you for listening for the Didi and LItal show. We hope to see you again. Please subscribe and like us wherever you get your podcast. See you soon.